What we just saw is as good as it gets. All right. Now we actually get to the whole open world sneaking, shooting, third person action game. Also with base building and RPG elements.
The area ahead is under total Soviet control. Miller's been captive for 10 days. Not much time left.
Weather will clear shortly.
Storm's passing.
That entire sequence we just saw at the hospital, that was the opening sequence. That was the preview. This is the first mission. We just started it.
Getting used to it? After 9 years on ice, solo infiltration of the Soviet main ground forces. Should be the perfect warm-up. Kazuhira Miller is being held in Dawandehar to the north. Check its location now. Take out your iDroid. You see Wandy on the map? That's where they're keeping Miller. Only problem is, we don't know his exact location. Finding it is your first priority.
So we have to
Go ahead and close the iDroid. Got your binoculars? Or should I say, your int scope? See the village? Straight ahead? To the right. All right, that's the village. If you see something through the binoculars and you need more information, just give me a call. I'll tell you anything I can about it. That's Violo Village, the Violo Calais. The villagers fled the war and evacuated a while back. Since then, it's become a base for the Soviets' 40th Army. A few days ago, Miller was taken through there, en route towards Dehar. You may be able to pick up the trail there. It's worth a shot. Put a marker on it so you don't lose track of where it is.
Marker
Good.
placed.
Now you won't have to worry about getting lost along the way. You can't have much left in him. I give him 3 days, tops. If we fail, and he dies, we lose our chance of revenge. But we need more intel. If you just go charging into Dehar, you'll be putting both your lives at risk. See what you can find out first. The Soviets have other outposts, not just the one you saw. Afghanistan is a big place. I expect you'll become quite familiar with those binoculars as you plan your next move. How and where you make it, well, that's up to you. From here on out, you're on your own. You're a legend in the eyes of those who live on the battlefield. That's why you have to handle this mission yourself. Put those 9 years behind you, and return as Big Boss. That's how Koss would want it. I'll be sending additional intel by radio. Stay sharp. Not one of Miller's bodyguards survived. And they were good. All we found on the scene were their corpses and knees. They'll be missing them. And you're his only hope of getting them back. Now go! Let the legend come back to life.
And now we have control. First things first, let's remember how to play this. We've got 16 cadets. We've got the briefing. We got the man on fire. Plus we have music, so we can definitely get DRM'd. Good. Good. Let's listen to the briefing as we go.
You were hospitalized in Dekelia, a British sovereign base area on Cyprus. It's part of British overseas territory that falls outside of Cypriot jurisdiction. You got moved from Cuba's Little America right into Cyprus's Little Britain. Why Dekelia? The UK and the US remain close allies. The last place Cypher would think to look for you is inside their own system. That's what kept you safe in British military hospital for 9 years. The safest place from a whale is inside its own belly. You were a regular Geppetto.
Well, it wasn't Pinocchio who led me out to safety. So who was that guy?
Cypher went so far as to attack British territory, burning their own ally. That's how badly they wanted you dead.
He said I was in a British military hospital. But the doctor had a Greek accent.
They hire locally. Easier to trust them. Dekelia is also home to Greek Cypriots, after all.
What about the Turks? They haven't returned to the south.
Not yet. The Cyprus dispute is still a
Hello.
long way from resolved. The country is just as split as it was in '74. Turkish Cypriots in the north, Greek Cypriots in the south. Between them, the Green Line, the UN established.
And Dekelia sits right on top of it.
It does. Part of the buffer zone between the two groups. Another reason it was the perfect place to hide you. Easy to spot any outsiders snooping around.
So how do things stand?
Hold it. There's a Soviet guard post.
Republic of Northern
They're bound to be guards. Take a look with your binoculars.
Turkey.
Put the enemy in the center of your field of view.
Greeks and Turks live side by side.
That's marking. Focus on the thread and it'll be marked automatically. You can mark enemies and vehicles by zooming in with your binoculars or camera. Once they're marked, you'll also see their positions on the map. Security at that guard post is relatively light. Looks like the perfect place for a warm-up. Try to remember the ways you used to deal with enemies. Anytime you need advice, just give me a call. Sight, sound, keep all your enemy senses in mind. When you're near an enemy, stay low and move slowly.
Я не говорю по-английски. Отпусти.
Boss, you don't understand what he said? I guess that makes sense. It looks like that horn stuck in your head has impacted the language center of your brain. Don't leave bodies out in the open. Find some place to drop them out of sight. A portable toilet. If you're gonna hide inside, watch the enemy doesn't decide to use it. Same goes for hiding downed enemies in it.
Guard post captured.
Alright. Sneaky, sneaky paid off. Let's just find a place to hide the bodies. Can we put multiple? No. Alright, let's... Okay. We ride. Alright, where were we? Oh, that's fine.
Whoa.
Hide in the same villages. There are reasons to fight. Those came from the outside. Greece, Turkey, Britain, America. They all have their own stake in pitting the two sides against each other. But once you spark something like this, it's impossible to control. Both sides build up...
You're almost at the enemy outpost, Vialo Village. The village is crawling with enemy soldiers. Don't just go waltzing in. Start with some recon. Is there anywhere that overlooks the village?
Each nation's arrogance only breeds anarchy. The world is paralyzed by this hunger for revenge. Cyprus is no different.
How about it? Can you see the village from there? Use the binoculars to recon the place.
You're up.
We're changing ships.
Look at where the enemies are stationed. Look at their gear. Take it all in. There should be a command post somewhere. See any buildings with tighter security? If there are clues to Miller's whereabouts, I'll bet you can find them in there.
Israeli conflict. Can you stand? We're going to transfer to a container ship for passage through the Suez. Our destination is Pakistan, Afghanistan's neighbor to the south. There we disembark and head via Peshawar to the Zero Line, the border. We'll travel to the Khyber Pass by road.
And then?
We continue on horseback. Afghanistan's main roads are under Soviet control. We'll need to go around them. It'll be all narrow, winding paths through the mountains. We'll do better on horseback. It's a local guerrilla tactic. They use the higher ridges to avoid air recons. Then they charge down the mountains for ambushes. The Soviets still haven't devised a counter strategy. Our time frame is only half as much as we really need. It'll be a tough march.
Better horses than boats.
Well, it'll make for good physiotherapy. Take the time to get used to that new arm.
While the Soviets have indicated they are not participating in the Los Angeles Olympics, primarily because the United States has made no attempt to guarantee the safety of the Soviet Union's athletes, the United States is increasingly demonstrating the belief that the issue has nothing to do with its preparations, and in fact this is retaliation for the Western nations' boycott of the previous Moscow Olympics. That concludes today's news.
That's quite some news.
The Soviet Union not attending the LA Olympics? Yeah. Andropov's death has changed some things. They're calling it revenge for the Western boycott of the Moscow Olympics.
Countries boycotted the Moscow Olympics.
Yes. In protest of the Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan. Over 50 countries were absent. It's too bad I didn't get to see Yamashita's judo. When the 40th Army crossed the Amu River 4 years ago, détente went right out the window. The U.S. Congress chose not to ratify SALT II, and Reagan's hardline politics won him the presidency in a landslide. According to him, the Soviet Union's an evil empire.
A second Cold War.
And there's been no end to regional conflicts and civil wars. Lebanon, the Falklands, Grenada, Iran, Iraq. The story never changes. Egypt and Israel did sign a peace treaty. But then the driving force on the Egyptian side, President Sadat, was assassinated afterward. Apparently his actions were considered a betrayal of his fellow Arabs.
Islamic extremists?
Yes. Fundamentalist extremists have been responsible for some bold acts of terrorism in recent years. We've had extremist students in Iran take U.S. embassy workers hostage, and suicide bombings in Lebanon. Over 300 foreign soldiers stationed there have been killed. But countries have yet to develop an effective means of dealing with terrorism. Afraid of losing their own men, they've pulled their forces out, handing private forces a golden opportunity.
Private forces?
Small armies with no national affiliation, working for the highest bidder. That's right, they got the idea from you. After Mother Base went down, they began spreading to meet the soaring demand. Miller's organization is just one.
That's a rough diamond. Good find. It'll fetch a high price.
At the same time, it needs you too. Miller told me about what happened in the Caribbean 9 years ago. You do remember Miller. You'd formed a private army with him. An army with no allegiance to a nation.
I remember, but...
I see. You're not sure what's fact and what's a fantasy. You were hospitalized in Dekelia, a British sovereign base.
While the Soviets have indicated they are not participating...
Boss, your mission is to rescue the target Kazuhira Miller, the man you called your partner 9 years ago. Miller was training guerrilla rebels near the Pakistani border when he was captured by the Soviets.
Those materials are already processed. They should come in handy sooner or later. Why not start gathering them?
Time to prove to the world you're the real big boss.
Hey Dark, how's it going? We're infiltrating Afghanistan. I've got to be very quiet.
Parabolic antenna. There could be intel files of some kind in there. Hey, that's...
You have arrived at your destination.
How is it leading the Ugandan nation to war? Let's get some intel.
So you picked up an intel file.
Extraction.
Now we know where Miller is.
Interface.
I'm marking it on your iDroid.
The map has been updated.
Okay. I think that was relatively successful, getting in and out. And not murdering everybody. Okay.
Marker placed.
So we're gonna go there to there.
Planning to walk the whole wilderness on foot? Use your horse.
I'm working on it. I want to get away from the giant military base where they will notice the horse. This guy and his use the horse and running on foot. I know what I'm doing. Oh, that's right, X. Another one. Other base. Because a guy on a horse isn't very quiet. Guy pleb running is very quiet.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base.
Oh, cool, they got my stuff. Hey. Also, Snake can sprint forever. And ever and ever. Ooh, stuff.
That's a type of medicinal plant. Bring it back to base. It's sure to be useful sometime.
Yeah, it's almost like you're running and you're putting... it's not Murder Sheet. Not yet. It's like you're running in real life. They did a lot of interesting stuff with sound in this game. Wait, will it let me do it? Bye-bye. Run, sheepies. I don't have the sheep pen yet, so I can't hold on to them. But we can have pets at Mother Base. Nope. Damn it. I said stop. Stop. Fall asleep. Oh, I can't take it yet. Oh, it's gonna sleep now. Not gonna kill the sheep if you're wondering. Just let it sleep. Alright. Ooh, that's shiny.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base.
It's an enemy guard post. Watch yourself.
Let's just go around this one. I don't have, I don't want to murder guys. At least not yet. And I don't really have the equipment to deal with that kind of a base yet. Once we get the trank rifle, indeed, that's when this game becomes really freaking easy.
Extraction arrived at Mother Base.
Do a barrel roll. Here, actually, can I... There's the horse. There's a truck. Mark 1 for truck. Oh shit, I remember this extraction. This sucked. We may end up just murdering everybody. You go that way, truck.
You've reached one day. They've got Miller locked up in that town. Check your eye droid for his location. I hope to hell he's all right. He's not your average client.